Three, two, go.
What's up, Nation? Thanks for joining us for an MMA premium stream. I'm joined by my man Jeff Ports, and we are going to give you the inside scoop on this MMA slate for tomorrow, Saturday, November 4th. Jeff, say what's up to the Wise Take Nation.
How's it going, Nation? You ready to rock this?
Yeah, man. You know, last time I did an MMA slate, I basically just read your article and ended up winning like a small GPP, like 400 people or something. I don't remember how big it was. I won like $250.
Yeah, that was nice. That was a good hit.
Yeah, looking to do it again, man. Yeah, $4. I'll take that any day.
Yeah.
So looking to do it again. And I'm actually excited to watch this. There's actually a couple decent undercard fights, and I'm hoping to see GSP come out of retirement and give it to the guy from England, Michael Bisping.
Yeah. Bisping's always played the heel type fighter anyways, and he's always been under my skin. I mean, I give him credit for him being an aggressive fighter, but I think he's been put in situations where it's favored him.
Yeah, no, I agree. I don't think he's fought a ton of good competition, at least recently. GSP, when's the last time he's fought?
It's roughly a little under 4 years.
Wow.
He technically, when on his last fight against Hendricks, he took a lot of damage. So when he walked out of the ring, he didn't necessarily. Joe Rogan asked him, "Is this the last time we're seeing you? Are you officially retiring?" And all he said was, "I'm just hanging my gloves up for a while." So
okay,
he's been pretty active. He's trained 5-6 days a week. He's worked on his game. He actually brought in Freddie Roach to work on his striking. So we might see an advanced GSP, and he was already on another level when it comes to fighting.
Yeah, no, for sure. He was one of the guys that put UFC on the map for sure. Let's go fight by fight, starting from the bottom, and at the end we'll talk a little bit of like lineup construction strategy, stuff like that. Maybe we can I'll try and make a lineup real quick, see how the pricing works. All right.
Yeah, that sounds good.
All right, so we'll start with Zahabi versus Ramos. Ramos is a favorite here. I got Zahabi at plus 170. What are your thoughts on this fight?
Both these guys are coming off of their debut fights. Zahabi, you could tell in his first fight he had like extreme nerves. It was pretty rough. He was real tentative in his striking. Takedowns, he wasn't really aggressive on it. I think both these guys will have the jitters out of the way. Honestly, I like Ramos a little more. He had a tougher of a test. He fought a Japanese fighter, and those guys, Japanese fighters in general, even though they may not necessarily be great, but they're gritty and they're going to put you through. They're going to make you earn that victory. And I think Ramos may have learned a lot more from that fight, so I have a feeling that he will carry that in and possibly push Zahabi to the brink and probably break him in the third round.
Wow, okay. Well, Zahabi's 8,700 and Ramos is 7,500, so that's like a value guy we may be looking for to fit in some of the stud fighters.
Right.
All right, cool. All right, I'm gonna write down Ramos then. All right, moving along, we got Olynyk versus Blades. I got Blades minus 330.
Right.
And Olynyk at plus 270. On DraftKings, I got Olynyk at 8,200 and Curtis Blades at 8,000. So pretty close in price.
Right.
Not indicative of the gap in the spread here. So that's kind of interesting. At first glance to me, it would look like you're getting Blades at a pretty decent value here.
Right. Blades is a KO. I mean, he's gonna go in there. Both these guys are gonna basically go for the finish. They're two different spectrums when it comes to how they would want to finish the fight. Olynyk is a submission specialist. He has 45 submission victories. So he's game. It's not like the underdog aspect of it when it comes to the odds. And Blades at the same time, he has the power to be able to knock somebody out. I mean, they're fairly close in the rankings as well. Olynyk is ranked 9 and Blades is 12. So it's a good spot if Blades is able to pull off the KO victory. It's going to push him up in the ranks. Olynyk, a lot of guys consider him technically a journeyman, but
Hmm?
just because of the guys that he has submitted aren't necessarily the greatest names in MMA. But to be able to string together 45 submissions is, I mean, that's not nothing to laugh at. I mean, his overall record's 52-10. I mean, that's a long time. I mean, I have a lot of respect for the guy, especially for how long he's been doing it and the consistency level.
Yeah, no, I hear that. It's just like, maybe Blades is going to be really popular when, I'm assuming most guys playing MMA are similar to me, who don't have a ton of experience but enjoy watching the sport,
Hmm.
and the first place they're gonna look is the odds on the fight, and like that kind of jumped out at me. So like
Yeah.
actually, we'll talk about this after the show about some construction ideas, but that's interesting, because I don't know if there's a ton of projections out there on ownership in MMA, but I would think that Blades would be popular, being the cheaper of the two fighters,
Right.
and
With the K,
being that big of a favorite.
yeah.
So
Plus
that's
with
interesting.
the KO upside as well.
Mm-hmm.
Especially
Yep,
if,
yep. That first round knockout is so important.
yeah, first second round KO. I mean, that'll roughly get you, especially on DraftKings,
100 points.
upwards of 100 points, depending on how many significant strikes or takedowns were achieved in the first round. So I
Yeah,
mean, points is a huge, huge thing.
absolutely. All right, next fight. We got Randy Brown, the underdog. Actually, not. It's a pick 'em this fight. Randy
Yeah.
Brown versus Mickey Gall. Pick 'em, and in terms of price on DraftKings, Mickey Gall is 8,400,
Hmm.
and Randy Brown is 78.
Right.
So pretty close.
Yeah,
Tell me what you think.
it's fairly close. Exactly. It is pretty much a pick 'em just because both these guys they're riding a pretty good fight win streak.
Okay.
Mickey Gall is he's the one
Substitution
who
special.
he,
Submission specialist. I mean.
oh yeah, he derailed the CM Punk hype train before it even happened.
Uh,
He was the one who came in and just utterly destroyed him.
and he
On
hasn't fought since, right? That's it. He hasn't been back, right?
Mickey Gall, oh, or no, CM Punk.
CM Punk.
Oh yeah, no, he's. I think he has a scheduled fight coming up, maybe in January, I believe, but I don't think anything's actually in concrete yet.
Okay.
And Randy Brown, um, I I personally like just the film from that I've seen. I think that he has the skill set to be able to beat um, Randy Mickey Gall. But the last time I didn't even I sort of faded Gall and I didn't really put him in my lineup, and I was
Hmm.
because he was going up. Mickey Gall's last fight was going against Sage Northcutt, who was another UFC hype train, and he derailed that one as well. He dominated him.
Okay. So this is kind of like a tougher battle, but we could see a submission finish. If that happens early, that could be valuable. I think, from my opinion, it sounds like Gall may have some more upside in a similar price tag kind of environment, and with the pick'em spread, I'd lean towards the guy who can finish the fight sooner. But overall, maybe this isn't the most attractive fight. It could go the distance if there isn't a submission, and I don't know if these guys are going to accumulate a ton of points outside of that.
Yeah, that's the thing is their grappling could cancel each other out. And it could turn into a stand up battle, but at the same
Yeah.
time, both of them could be tentative in their striking, and the scoring might be lower.
Yep, yep. This guy Randy Brown's averaging 52 points with a 9-2 record. Like that points to not a ton of scoring from
Yeah.
from my perspective. All right, so maybe a fight we won't have too much exposure to. Now we got a light heavyweight bout between Ovince St. Preux
Hmm.
versus Anderson. Talk to me about it.
Corey Anderson's a wrestler by trade. He's going to go for takedowns. He's going to, of course, in DFS, takedowns are points. He's actually a pretty um, active striker. If he's able to get his opponent down, he'll be able to utilize a lot of ground and pound, and not necessarily ground and pound in general, but he'll cage fight him, keep him against the cage, and just keep popping him, just tattooing him.
Mm-hmm.
The only concern I have with Corey Anderson is he has been knocked out before, and OSP is he's a monster.
Yeah, I
Um,
mean OSP. I remember him fighting Bones Jones. I mean he got beat, but you know, if I remember correctly, you know, he lasted the whole fight, didn't he?
Yeah, it was a game fight. Yeah, he was in there the whole time. And then now you got to consider, was Jones on the juice when he fought OSP?
Right. Probably. He's probably been on the juice his whole career, would be my guess.
And that's the hard part. You know, you have to take
Yeah.
those into account. So if you look at OSP right now and you go, okay, if he's fighting this guy who's not necessarily a John Jones level, I mean, he could dominate him. I mean, he took on Yushin Okami and, you know, he submitted him with a Von Flue choke again. They're actually joking around that they want to rename the Von Flue choke to OSP, to the St. Preux choke.
Yeah. And I mean, I think, you know, the Vegas line is a little small, minus 147 towards OSP, plus 127 for Anderson.
Right.
But the pricing on DraftKings points to OSP at 9K and Corey Anderson at 7,200.
Yeah, there's huge price disparity.
DraftKings likes OSP. Vegas not as much, but he's still a favorite. Based on his experience, I think I would like him in this fight. If I could fit him in so far, I think I would, but there may be more attractive, expensive guys as we get through the rest of these fights. So I'm going to mark him down for now, but we'll see if there's anything else on the high end that I like.
Yeah, the other thing I like looking at is the prop bets. If you look at some of the prop bets, especially for the Anderson OSP fight, some of them have it not going past 2 rounds, so under 3, under 2.5. So it's possible that, I mean, it's pretty much, a lot of people are betting that it's not going to go the distance.
It's not going to go the distance,
yeah,
which is good. So there's more points available. All right. I think I'm going to try and get OSP into my lineup, but we'll see. Talk to me about this next heavyweight fight, Harris versus Godbeer. Harris is a minus 365 favorite. Godbeer is plus 300. And let me see what their prices are. I got Walt Harris at 8,800 and Mark Godbeer at 7,400. Talk to me.
Yeah, so this actually was this fight was rescheduled from the other couple cards ago. Walt Harris actually stepped in for Derek Lewis, who hurt his back and was almost instantly submitted by Fabricio Verdum. And
that was the one that was the card that I won the GBP in.
Yeah,
that was the same card.
Yeah, because we were messaging each other like, "Oh man, Verdum's points aren't counting. What's going on?"
Yep, exactly. Yep. I remember that.
Yeah,
So was that like a fluke for Walt Harris? Is he actually a good fighter as he's projected to be, you know, as a big favorite here, or does Godbeer have a chance?
Yeah, both these guys are stand and bang guys, so I think it's not going to last more than 2 rounds, and it's going to be a knockout. It's going to either be a TKO where they're, you know, it's a knockdown and then they're just smashed with some ground and pound. Yep. I just have a feeling that Walt Harris has the edge when it comes to power. Plus, he probably wants to redeem himself for the Verdum fight.
The last loss. Okay. If you had to choose between Harris or OSP, which one would you choose?
I'm actually leaning more towards Harris in my lineup build just because of the salary relief. And
$200, that's gonna make a big difference. Okay.
$200, you might be able to fit, you know, be able to dance around and be able to get something of value, but at the same time, it's not a risky value where you're going to be pushed to the bottom, you know, scraping for like maybe 30, 40 points at that value spot, you know.
Well, I've noticed like the way the pricing works, and we'll talk about this more at the end, is like you have to pick one underdog right if you're going to have like most of the favorites that you want. You
Correct.
know, like you can't just put all like 5, 6 favorites in your lineup with a 6 fighter 6. You know, it just doesn't work. You usually have to pick 1 or even maybe 2 if you want to fit in the high end studs. So I'm still waiting. You know, I think I might have 1 so far, but I'm still waiting for that underdog that we can jump on at low pricing. All right, moving along. We got Vic versus Duffy. I got Duffy as a minus 150 favorite, Vic plus 130. And on DraftKings, I see their prices at Joe Duffy at 8,500 and James Vick at 7,700. So
right. Yeah,
A little bit of a gap in price in terms of how low the spread is. But tell me, is this a good pricing for these guys or what?
this is another one where the guys are pretty, not necessarily evenly matched, but it's going to be a pretty good battle. Vic is his nickname is the Texecutioner. He's got solid submissions. He's huge for the weight division. He's 6'3", going up against Duffy. So
Okay.
he'll have a reach advantage. I don't see it being a total blank out on Duffy's point, even though I'm leaning more towards Duffy to win the fight.
Hmm.
I actually had to talk myself off of Vic, and just from watching video and put myself on Duffy. I almost had to convince myself. So I'm sort of torn on this one. It's it's really close, and it's almost like a fade for me putting him in the lineup because. But at the same time, if I was to make multiple lineups, I would make one with Duffy and one with Vic.
Yeah,
Offset.
yeah. That's something we'll talk about at the end. I built three lineups that day, and like the two fights that were like, in question that you kind of made me feel like will be good fights, but you didn't know who would win. I just took one of each. But we'll get to that at the end. It's just interesting the way you got to construct lineups in MMA. This next fight, I think I know this first guy, Johnny Hendricks versus Costa. And dude, I'm not familiar with Costa. He's a minus 280 favorite, and Hendricks comes in at 240. I'm expecting to see a big price tag on Costa, and we do. It's minus. He's 8,900 on DraftKings, and Johnny Hendricks is 7,300. Johnny Hendricks have any chance here, or is this all Costa?
Man, honestly, I would love to see Big Rig to be in there and have a competitive fight, but uh, this whole week during press week, he's been saying some weird stuff and just like he had a right before weigh-ins, he gave this like whole 2 minute like weird rant like on,
Uh,
and I'm like,
what
this
do you
dude,
say?
it's just some weird shit, man. I was just like looking at him like, dude, what the hell's like he has to have like a CTE or something because
Uh,
some of this stuff is just wacky. He had an
Off the
interview,
wall.
yeah, he had an interview, um, like a day ago, and it was like his eyes just looked spun out, like he was on like caffeine pills or something. And I was just like,
Uh,
man, this dude is just
off the
off. Like
chain.
he just seems like he's crazy. And Paulo, he's pretty much finished all of his fights. He's KO upside for sure, especially 8,900. And I could see how he warrants the being a favorite at for Vegas. And I just don't I don't see Hendricks like personally. I'm fading Hendricks even at that price tag. I'm just not comfortable rostering him just because if he does go in there and he's just gonna be, he could be real tentative and just sort of like keep distance and just try throwing pot shots and he's just gonna score low.
Hmm.
And I don't know. To me personally, I'm gonna fade Hendricks, but Paulo definitely I'm trying to fit him in
Uh-huh.
just for that K upside for sure.
Sure, sure. All right. Next bout, we got a welterweight. Thompson versus Masvidal. Thompson's the favorite here, minus 175. Masvidal plus 140. Let me pull up these guys' prices. Um, I got Thompson at 8,600. Jorge Masvidal at 7,600. Talk to me about this one.
Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, man, this guy's if I was watching the whole press week, and he actually
Mhm.
kept a lot of the muscle mass that he put on to fight Woodley, and
Okay.
it looks pretty good. I mean, plus he's going to be the bigger guy. Masvidal is a normal. I think he normally fights at 155, but
Okay, so he's coming up. He's coming up a weight class.
coming up a little bit. But actually, if you're not familiar with Jorge Masvidal, his nickname is Gamebred. He actually got that nickname. Fighting for Kimbo Slice on his street fights in his backyard brawl, and he
Wow.
would
Okay.
he would
So he's
fight.
tough.
Yeah, he would fight dudes bare knuckle. And the guy that he fought, Ray, 3 times, which was supposed to be Kimbo's protege, was easily 200 plus, and he pretty much decimated him. He got caught a couple times, but he's fought in Japan under Sengoku. He's gonna be. This is gonna be another war.
Uh-huh.
I like both these fighters, especially Masvidal for salary relief,
Okay.
especially Thompson. I think he's going to win by decision, and he should have enough points because he's going to use his kickboxing and his Muay Thai clinch to land a lot of knees. I don't see him finishing Masvidal, but at the same time, I do see him scoring enough points with the significant strikes for sure.
Okay. All right. Cool. Next, oh wait, most expensive fighter on the slate, Joanna.
Jadzeric, yeah, Jadzeric.
Yeah, taking on Rose Namajunas, the cheapest fighter on the slate. We got a huge spread here, minus 600 for the favorite, plus 450 for Namajunas. Does this Rose Namajunas have any shot, or is this going to be all?
Yeah, if you look at it like this, if you compare it to like another sport, let's say NBA, like tonight was LeBron's night, right? Like that was the free square that you want to pick. That's
Got
Joanna.
60 points already.
Oh boy.
Like not even the fourth quarter yet. Just so you know.
Yeah, Joanna's the makes me feel great, by the way. Joanna's the free square. She's gonna be the one. She's gonna.
Okay.
I have a feeling she's gonna completely dominate her. She's.
First round knockout.
I wouldn't say a first round knockout. It's gonna be a 5 round brutal beating.
Okay.
And I'm not saying Rose is completely out of it. She's very tough. I mean, her mental like one of her attributes is the fact that she has a strong mind and she has crazy jujitsu. But I don't think that's going to come into play. I think Joanna, anytime somebody tries to shoot on her, she actually punishes them with either a knee or some crazy uppercut or a hook, and it's just she picks them apart. It's weird. She's like a surgeon in there. It's pretty ridiculous.
Okay. Moving along, another title fight, so 5 rounds. Garbrandt versus Dillashaw. I got Garbrandt at minus 179 and Dillashaw plus 154. In terms of pricing, I think these guys are fairly close. Garbrandt 8,300, Dillashaw 79. Tell me who's going to win this one. This one I think could go either way, but you tell me, am I right?
I agree. It is a possible. If it goes the distance, it's going to be a split decision for sure. I don't think it's going to be single one way. But I honestly have a feeling just from all the stuff that has gone on, Garbrandt has been claiming Dillashaw. He's been taking roids. He hurt their former teammate and all this stuff. So then finally, the teammate that got hurt actually came out and confirmed the story that he felt that it was a cheap shot and that he goes a little too hard in practice with his own teammates because they're all those guys at Alpha Male were in the same weight division. So he was trying to thin them out. I mean, in theory, which is sort of sucky to say. You're supposed to be teammates, helping each other get better, but at the same time, you don't want to hurt anybody. I have a feeling Garbrandt's going to want to come out and literally brutalize them for the team, and he's going to want to try to decimate them, and he's going to try to draw it out. I think he's going to try to give him a 5 round beating, and I'm picking Cody on this one for sure.
Really?
Yeah.
Could be a lot of points in this if it goes 5 rounds, right?
Right.
Okay, interesting. And then the premier fight of the night, we got Michael Bisping versus George St. Pierre. As you mentioned, hasn't fought in about 4 years. This fight's a pick'em.
Right.
Tell me what we're doing.
I like I like St. Pierre. I just have a feeling that this is the first time he's fought, even when he was when he had that huge title run, when he was 10-time defending champ. He was always going into the fight with an injury, so his mind's clear. He was going through some personal issues that he had, and this is going to be the first time he's actually gone into the ring with no mental issues, no physical issues, and with an advanced, GSP. I mean, he's worked on this crazy timing thing where like he puts his feet and when it lights up, you have to kick in that specific direction, and he's like It's like it's a weird mental thing that you have to do, and it's like your twitch reflexes.
Hmm.
So he's been doing all this extracurricular training, and I think it's going to pay off. I think in the first round, halfway through the first round, he's going to be maybe the ring rust will probably be evident, but I don't think Bisping has the power to try to stop him. I don't think St. Pierre is going to put himself in a position where he's going to get clipped and possibly knocked out or anything like that. And I think Bisping, like we talked on it a little bit before, was he's been put in some pretty special situations where he's been able to take advantage of the
Easy
situation and
competition. Yeah,
yeah,
easy competition. I definitely agree with you there. Um, I mean, he's fought Luke Rockhold, Endo, at the end of his career, Silva,
right,
Rockhold again, where he lost. Like, nothing too exciting on these names. And I think really UFC needed a headline and like begged George St. Pierre to come out and we're like, you can fight Bisping. He's popular. Like, this is like a like selling tickets kind of event kind of
right.
thing. But the rest of the card is pretty awesome, and I think this fight will be fun to watch, especially if St. Pierre can knock this dude out.
And the thing is too,
Um,
St. Pierre is actually it's almost like a
yeah.
homecoming for him because
Hmm.
when he was training in Canada, he was doing a lot of karate and stuff like that. When he wanted to expand his game, he actually went to New York and trained under Renzo Gracie, BJJ. So that's where he got his belt. That's where he trained all his BJJ. Was in New York, so it's almost like a homecoming. It's going to be first time fighting in front of his semi home crowd in a sense,
Hmm.
since he was there for a long time, learning how to do jiu-jitsu.
Okay. So that's what we got for the card. I built the lineup. I got a quick question for you. Do you feel like the women fights are more volatile or easier to predict?
Yeah, they're actually pretty hard.
They're volatile.
They're volatile. It depends on which one. This one is almost like I said, it's almost a free square.
Hmm.
Rose's game, but I don't think she has the tool set to be able to take it to Joanna for sure.
Yep. Okay. Yeah. I made sure to get her in my lineup. There's two fights that I wrote down that I wanna have both sides of. So like I'll probably build three teams. My main, and then the next two will have one of these guys and one of the other. The Vic Duffy fight I wrote down as one that could go either way,
Right.
and then the Masvidal Thompson fight
Yeah.
I wrote that could go either way. So I'm going to try and have both of those fighters. Is there any other, like maybe the Gall Brown fight, where I maybe should take both fighters, or you think those two are all right? And the rest of my lineup came out pretty well. I'll read it out to you in a minute.
Yeah, that one's like I said, that one's going to be close, and it's possible unless Gall gets the early finish.
Hmm.
That's the only way I think the scoring could separate you from the crowd.
Okay.
Um, yeah, I think Gall might possibly be Gall or Brown could be a lower ownership just because of the name, and then a lot of people might not be. And then the other one would be the Zahabi Ramos.
Yep.
Could be lower ownership as well.
On Zahabi or Ramos? Ramos, right?
Yeah, on Ramos, correct.
Okay. All right. So the lineup I built, I put James Vick in here. You told me he's got the long reach. Hoping to have that on underdog win. Jorge Masvidal, you sold me on his toughness, and then that allowed me to get Joanna Jędrzejczyk, the LeBron of the slate. Paulo Costa fighting the washed-up Hendricks, who's got mental issues, and then I went Georges St. Pierre, and then Cody Garbrandt, 8,300, who you said will probably try and draw the fight out, so there should be a lot of points. What do you think of that lineup? I had $200 left over. Is this going to be chalky, or is this like a nice little creative lineup, and I just gotta kind of hope for Masvidal and Vic to pay off?
Yeah, so you said Joanna, Garbrandt,
Yeah, Joe. Yep,
Masvidal.
yep.
You said Paulo Costa or
Paulo, yep. Paulo Costa, GSP, and James Vic.
and James Vick, GSP. Yeah, yeah. The only exactly you would hope for the James Vick Duffy fight to basically be a battle is which I'm guessing it's going to be. I don't think it's going to be an early finish. I think it's going to be a fight. And then same thing with the Masvidal and Thompson fight.
Yeah, and like so my next lineup, I'll put in Duffy, and I'll probably pay down off like Costa to one of the a little bit cheaper guys that fit that you said you think would win.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think the ownership's going to be on like the Bisping St. Pierre fight? Mixed, or is there one guy that's going to be heavier on than the other?
You know what's going to be? It's going to be hard to tell because there's going to be the Bisping owners that
Mm-hmm.
adore Bisping, and then there's going to be the guys who hate Bisping and are picking St. Pierre just because they hate they hate Bisping. And then I think St. Pierre might have a little bit higher ownership just because of that, where they're just like they completely despise Bisping and they don't want anything to do with him, and they just hope he loses. So I think the uptick might be a little bit on St. Pierre, but at the same time, if they're looking at Vegas odds and they're taking that into context, maybe the casual player might not do that, but at the same time, maybe they're going to fade the fight just for the aspect that it could be a stalemate and go to decision. But at the same time, there could be enough significant strikes and takedowns on GSP's side to be able to lift you up a little bit higher.
Is it like a sharp move by players in the know to like fade a fight like this where the average fan is probably going to include this in their build because it's like, they're watching it with their friends and this is the main fight of the card. And maybe this isn't one that has as much scoring upside, or, does it not really matter?
Yeah, actually, I do agree with that point, especially with the possibility of it being not necessarily a lower scoring fight, but it could be either way. I think the sharps might push away from this fight and maybe look more towards a value and head maybe in towards maybe lean more towards the Cody Garbrandt Dillashaw fight, or possibly look into fitting like a Walt Harris and a OSP combo in there as opposed to going with the main.
Yeah, with St. Pierre and the girl Strategic.
Right, and I've been doing a lot of lineup comparisons from the past. It's probably about 10 cards that I've been downloading their the lineups into an Excel file, and a lot of the construction of the winning lineups, they have a lot of the early prelim fights on their card, and they're picking them correctly. So if we can figure out exactly who's going to win, and that's why I was really disappointed when the Kudalaba fight was pulled from the card, because that was another free square, even though it was 9,000 salary.
Yep.
I was completely.
They're going to win. Like,
you
take those. Like when you told me that, Joanna Drzezic was a LeBron, like I was like, okay, she's in my lineup. Like I want that easy, high-scoring win, and I'll lock her in all three of my lineups and just try and figure out how to make the rest of it work and hope that one of those combos is right. So,
right.
That's like what I look to get most is like one or two fighters that you're pretty high on, and you think are a lock, and I'll go to war with it. And say we do 10 fights and you miss, twice and hit 6 times, I'm in a good spot 6 times, and all you got to do is win one GPP and it pays off for all 8. So
yeah,
that's my approach. Hopefully, you'll be on the money with these picks on this card. Is there anything else you want to say before we get on out of here about this card?
I'm trying to look to see if there's anything that we might have not touched on. It looks like I think we pretty much hit everything on there.
All right, cool, man. If you want, hit me or Jeff up on Twitter. Jeff, what's your Twitter handle?
It's JEFPO.
JEFPO. Mine's Paulie 8Ds. If you have any questions, shoot us a DM or shoot a screenshot if you do well. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this content, and we'll be putting more of these out for the next big fight. And Jeff and myself and the whole Wise Take Nation. Peace.
Yeah.
Yeah.